Hello and welcome. My name is Monica Samantha Hernandez, and I'm an event specialist here at the Sonoma County Library. We are pleased to partner with the SoCo Department of Emergency Management to offer this program. A few reminders for today's event. Please keep yourself muted during the program. There will be time for Q&A at the end. If you have a question for the presenters, please ask it in the chat feature, and we will do our best to answer it. And this event is being recorded in both English and Spanish. The recordings will be posted to the library's YouTube page and linked to our partners pages as well. Lastly, this program is part of the Sonoma County Library's summer reading program going on now through August 14th. Track your reading progress and to earn free books and be eligible for weekly raffle prizes to local businesses. For more information, visit sonomalibrary.org/summer reading 2021. Summer Reading 2021. And that's it from me. Thank you all for joining us. I am now going to welcome Dr. Nancy Brown, the Community Preparedness Program Manager for the County of Sonoma Department of Emergency Management. Take it away, Nancy.
Thank you so much, Monica, and welcome everybody. Really excited to see a great turnout here today, and also really excited to see in the poll how many of you have go bags, but you're still here wanting to see more and learn more about how to be prepared. So welcome everybody. Super happy to have you here. I have with me here my fully vaccinated partner, Dan, who will be giving you a presentation today on go bags and shelter-in-place kits. With us also today is Julie Atwood, who is going to be talking about pet preparedness, which is another thing that's really, really key in making sure that if you do need to get out in a hurry, or if an emergency strikes, that you can care for not only yourself, but all the loved ones in your circle, which also includes your pets, your animals, and your livestock. So we like to cover all of that today, and we have just an hour to do it. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Dan. Give me just a second while I get his PowerPoint started. Excellent. Awesome. Okay, take it away, Dan.
All right, thank you very much. My name's Dan Widger. I volunteer for the Department of Emergency Management for Sonoma County. It's kind of a short version of the story. Let me get this down here. It's not going down to where I want.
Oh, here, let me help you.
Go ahead. My IT person here. Started volunteering for Sonoma County a few years ago. Chris Godley, who's running the department, is a friend of mine from the National Guard. He's one of our commanders. So when I found that he was taking over, I asked him if he needed any help. I've been involved in public service for 40 plus years, 35 years in law enforcement, 22 years in the regular Army and the National Guard. So I've been to floods, fires, earthquakes, wars, Bosnia, all kinds of exciting places. And none of that matters except for when I went to those places, I would kind of look at what people were doing in a disaster. The first one I went to the National Guard was Loma Prieta. We got down to the county fairgrounds at the epicenter and saw a lot of people in tents setting up cooking stuff for breakfast. I said, oh, where'd you guys get the tents? Oh, we go camping. We have our emergency gear ready all the time. Great. So I kind of put that in the back of my head, got home and made sure that our camping gear was ready to go. Talked to several people that have survived different floods and fires, you know, not just them, but some of their relatives and friends, and told me what they did that worked and what didn't work. And one of the key things I've kind of learned over the last few years is with the fires that a lot of people I know had their emergency kits ready to shelter in place after an earthquake, but to evacuate after a fire or flood, they weren't ready. So taking that, I said, well, let's start making go bags, maybe car kits, stuff like that. So if you can grab a few things in the house, great. If not, you got a go bag and stuff in your car ready that you can take. So we talk about a home kit, a go bag, and I also include a car kit in that. You can combine them all, of course. Some of the stuff I'm going to repeat again later on. What should we do? What disasters should we prepare for in Sonoma County? Okay, realistically, all hazards. And we say that all emergency managers say, if you're prepared for one hazard, you're prepared for them all. So if you're prepared for an earthquake, you're prepared for a flood. If you're prepared for a flood, you're prepared for a fire. If you're prepared for a fire, you're prepared for an earthquake. So all these things you do are going to get you ready to be ready for all of it. So if you just focus on one thing and don't focus on the other things, you're not going to be prepared, because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't get an email today saying we're going to have a big earthquake next week. We don't get an email saying, well, we do actually get some for floods. So we do with the floods, we get warnings, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And medical and pandemic, a lot of people weren't ready for the pandemic, and I'm not going to beat up anybody or anything, but let's do a better job next time. And zombies, of course. Okay, so if we're prepared for these things, we look at our emergency kits. What are we going to need for these kits? If you start looking at it and comparing things and stuff, it's going to be a lot of the same things. So to get to that point, what do we need to do? We need to stay informed. And that part of that staying informed is looking at what disasters we have in Sonoma County, and particularly where you live or where you work. We had a friend that moved here a few years ago from the Midwest. When they had the big fire a couple of years ago, even though he lived in Petaluma, he decided that he was going to go to Tahoe. He said, oh, my house is going to burn down. And when he left, I got a hold and said, dude, what are you doing? It's not going to go that far. Well, he had no idea what the relationship and distance was. He wasn't familiar with the area. But the smoke was getting to him and everything. I said, well, that's fine. If the smoke's too bad, just go ahead and leave. So kind of stay informed, know what disasters have happened in the last 20, 50 years in your area. You know, are you in a flood zone? Are you in a fire zone? We're all in an earthquake zone. So that's something we all need to prepare for. And if we did a little quiz here at the beginning, and it seems like a lot of you already have your emergency kits together of some kind. Okay, so let's expand on that today. Let's make it better. If you don't have anything in your emergency kit, by the end of the day, I want you to go out and get one thing to put on your emergency kit. Just start out with one thing and see how much easier it is to add. Don't think I have to have 100% of everything. Think one thing, okay, what do I really need? If I could put one thing in my emergency kit, what would it be? Okay. Some people, it's going to be a different answer. Some people, it's going to be, oh, I need my medication. Oh, I need my dog food. I need water. So everybody's answer is probably going to be a little bit different. Okay, so make a plan and practice the plan. Part of that is if you're putting a go bag together or you're going to grab emergency stuff from your house when you leave, practice it. I did a presentation a couple of years ago. I said, I put together a go bag and everything, and it weighed like 40 pounds. So we practiced. I tried walking down the street. I can make it about 100 feet, and it was too heavy. What do I do? I said, dude, you can either lighten the pack or go to the gym. I don't know what's going to work for you. So he ended up lightening the pack because he didn't have time to go to the gym. But make a plan, practice it, actually do a walkthrough of what you're going to do. Put your kits together and think about, what am I going to do? Try doing it during the day. Try doing it at night with a flashlight. Turn off all the lights and say, hey, can I find this kit? Can I do this? Make the kits that match your plan. Don't put stuff in your kit that you don't need. You may not get everything you want in there, but don't put stuff you don't need. Don't haul around a 10-pound stove if you don't think you're going to need it. What limits emergency kits? Okay, now this is the time where I look at the audience, and if we're live, and I would say, hey, what do you think? And what would you put in your emergency kit? And this is where you respond, but we're doing it this way. So money, space, weight, time, motivation. Okay, now the biggest things that I've found are people who don't have the money to do it, and they don't have the motivation. Motivation can affect anybody in any income range. So what I suggest now is you got to get past that motivational problem and start doing something. If you don't have a kit, if your kit's not up to what you think it should be, motivate yourself today to go out and do something. Okay. Not having the money, there's lots of things you can do that don't cost a lot of money. If you eat a can of tuna fish every day for lunch, next time you go to the store, buy one extra can. Next week, buy one extra can. That's next time, go buy one extra can. Pretty soon you'll have like a week's worth of tuna fish ready for lunch, and then start adding something later on. Space is a big problem. I've talked to people who live in San Francisco and they have a small apartment, and what they do is they'll store it underneath their bed. They have emergency kits that fit underneath the bed. And one guy I talked to says, yeah, I've got 7 days worth of food and everything I need underneath my bed. Great. So he really economized it, got everything put together, and got his system down. The weight, and if it's just something you're storing in your house and you got unlimited room, that's not a problem. The weight you're going to carry on a go bag is something you need to practice with. Pick that pack up or whatever you're going to do. How far can you travel with that? And then the time, as a lot of people say, I don't have the time to do this. Well, you don't have the time to do it during a disaster for sure. So make some time now. Okay. Now we're going to get back to motivation. What can I do to motivate everybody to go do this? I can't. I can just talk about it and ask you to do it, but telling you that this is something you need to do. Now, if you're not concerned for yourself, think about, do you have family members you can help? Do you have a neighbor or somebody you care about? Do it for them. You know, what do you need to do to make sure you've got your kit together? And what can you do to help other people? You want to be a hero? Go out and help somebody else get a kit together. Okay, 3 types of kits. This is what I like to talk about is we have a home kit. This is for when you're going to shelter at home. You might not have any utilities, you may not have gas or electric or water or sewer. So what do you need to survive in your home for up to 7 days? We used to say 3 to 5 days, but now it's more like 7 days. Think about, you know, have extra food, extra water. I have a camping stove at home that'll last for a week, the way I have it set up. My wife came up with the brilliant ideas. Let's just have food you don't have to heat up. And I said, well, that works with everything except my coffee. So I don't know what I'm going to do. You know, I'll have to heat up my coffee. So for those that don't know it, I am a coffee addict. So I got to have hot coffee. Your go bag, this is when you have to evacuate and you try to get enough supplies that last you for 72 hours. You can supplement this other ways. If you have a car, you can have 24 hours or more worth of stuff in there. So you can combine these 3 things together. If you're going to stay at home, you could go out and grab your go bag, your car kit, bring it into the house and use that. The car kit is really when you're on the road somewhere and you're heading home or somewhere and you can't get there because of some disaster. So you have a little bit of extra something. We'll show this a little bit later. Mylar blankets are great. I'm not going to unfold this because these are absolutely impossible to fold back up. So if I completely unfold this thing, I can never fold it up. It'll just be this big wad of Mylar. My little go bag, this is the one I take if I'm going to go anywhere. It stays in my truck. It's got some food, water, a little first aid kit, flashlight, things like that. So we started talking about, we'll get into some more specifics on equipment. So a lot of you people, you respond on the response little quiz we have, you already have a go bag. So we're going to work on making your bag better. So like I said, is we can use these combined or we can use them separately depending on where you're at. If you're staying at home, you can pull the one out of the car. Like I said, you can take your go bag and use that and supplement what you have. If you could only put one thing in your kit to take with you, what would it be? Now, Nancy and I were talking, one of the things we went through a couple of years ago, we did a thing and people were coming up and talking to them. I was asking, well, you know, what do you have? What have you done? And one was telling us, yeah, I was in the fire. We had to evacuate. My home didn't burn down. I got my kids in the car and I ran back in the house and grabbed my high heels. And I thought for a minute, well, you know, why did you grab your high heels? She says, I don't know. I was panicking and stuff. So by preparing and practicing a little bit, we can cut out some of that panic where we're not just running in and grabbing the high heels. Now, granted, these high heels may have cost a lot of money. I didn't get into a lot of details with her, but what would you put in your go bag in your car kit if you could only take one thing with you? Okay, think about that for a minute. It could be food, could be water, could be medication, shelter. Think of the time of the year. Okay, high heels. Okay, we're not going to grab that. Okay, how to pack your kits. I've seen a lot of go bags where people will just take the stuff and throw it into a pack. Take clothes and food and stuff like that, put them in Ziploc bags, 1 gallon Ziploc bags, 2 gallon, whatever you have, works fine. Kind of wrap that up and that'll keep it so if it gets wet, that stuff in there will stay dry. It's a good way to pack your clothes. So if you're a backpacker or you're in the infantry like I was for a while, you can learn how to do that. Load them in the order that you're going to need stuff. So if I pull out my pack and I need a flashlight because it's dark and the flashlight's at the bottom of my pack, I have to dig down in there to find it. But if I have it right at the top, I'm ready to go. I can grab that, and when it's dark, we don't like being in the dark. We like to have light at night so we can see things. So put the flashlight towards the top. One of the things you'll see in a lot of the kits to put together is having a whistle. Don't bury the whistle down in the pack, but I keep mine with me all the time, so it's in my pocket. The whistle, you can summon help. You can let people know where you're at. If it's buried in your pack and you need to pull it out, it's not going to help you much. Practice moving and using your kit. So, like I said, is if it weighs too much, you're not going to be able to do anything with it. If I know that I've got a big garbage can kit out in the backyard, and I've got gas and electric coming to my house, then I need to know how to shut off the electric, know how to shut off the gas. But if I've got those tools I need buried down in the bottom of a bag and I have to look for them and find a flashlight, oh, I've got my gas wrench. Okay, great. And I've got, you're not going to have this in your kit. How do I shut off the gas? Okay, so the gas wrench, if it's like that, it's on. If you turn it one way or the other, it's off. So if this closes like that, now the gas is off. Only turn off the gas if you smell gas or hear gas, or after a big earthquake, you're pretty sure there's probably a gas leak. Go ahead and shut it off. Don't turn it back on until you get a hold of the gas company, PG&E. But keep that handy. The wrench, I don't keep it in my kit. I actually keep this near the gas meter itself. It's put some safety wire on there. It's right next to the gas line. All the kids in the neighborhood know not to go messing with it. A good flashlight is a lot of those emergency kits you can buy already put together. They have the little 99-cent flashlights in them that if you go out and drop it once and see if it still works. Spending a little bit more money on a good flashlight is a good investment. You can use this for lots of different things. This happens to be a fancy one I got. I kind of into flashlights. I don't know, as a cop, they were pretty handy over the years. But this one's made out of aluminum base. It's got an LED light. It's rechargeable off any USB port. So to me, that's super handy flashlight, and it puts out a lot of light. I'm not going to turn it on here because it'll blind you. So keeping things handy like that, not buried at the bottom of something is not going to be handy for you. Again, practice moving your kit and using your kit and getting to your kit. Can you get to the kit after an earthquake? If you're going to shelter at home, can you get to your kit? Is it going to be buried underneath a bunch of stuff? Okay, fire extinguishers, keep one in the kitchen, one in the garage, and if you can, one in the car. Check them at least every 6 months. If you're not sure if they're good or not, get a hold of somebody, your local fire department, they can help you explain that. The gas shutoff wrench I just showed you, and the flashlights, keep them handy. Have more than one. If you have one of something, it's not going to work. If you have 2 or 3 of them, one of them is probably going to work. It's kind of an Army thing. Okay, when should we check our kits? We used to say to check it every year, every 6 months. I kind of think you should check it for seasons. We have earthquake season, flood season, fire, and power shutoff. You can do it every month. You could do it every quarter. You could do it once or twice a year, but do something, put it on the calendar so you go out and check them. For the food, look at the sell-by dates. Is it things leaked out, or do you need to replace the batteries? Just little things like that. Okay, tips I'm going to give you is practice and test the items. If it's something you put in there, if you can get like a food sample, see, is this something I want to eat? Go out and buy a spare one of them. Check it. We were talking about MREs before we went on the air. These are the real MREs from the Army. If you're really hungry, these are pretty tasty. If you're not hungry, you probably don't want to eat one. I've eaten thousands of them. And I could survive on that if I had to. Most disasters happen when they happen when we're not ready for it. So be ready ahead of time. Redundant is okay. It's not always the same thing. I talked about a flashlight. Well, what about a battery powered lantern? So that would do the similar thing for lighting up a room. They're the same, but they're not. They're kind of redundant, but they're not really the same. So they're not the same, but they are the same. Let's practice with it, see if it's going to work. Turn off all the lights in your house and see, is this enough to light that we need, or do we need to get some more? I would say don't use candles or open flames for cooking in the house after a disaster. or for any emergencies. When a warning for disaster comes up, like there's going to be a flood, or we're anticipating this or that, or it's fire season, go fill up your gas tank. Don't wait for the gas tank to run empty. I do know people that do that normally, and then they call and say, hey, I don't know where to get gas. I'm almost out of gas, and now everybody's in line. What do I do? Well, keep your tank close to full. Nancy likes to say half a tank. I say keep it full. Okay. If you know something's coming, if there's no disaster coming, mine's always like a 3/4. So that's just the way I am. Things work better. And do you need a go bag? You know, probably yes. Take future classes, planning, keep informed. I'm going through this pretty quick. Normally this would be like about a 2-hour presentation. So keep your cell phone full, keep it charged. And if you have a charger in the car, I was surprised at all the disasters we've had lately where people don't have their cell phone charged up and they have to go somewhere to get it charged. You don't have a charger in the car? They're not that expensive. I mean, the phones are expensive, but the charger's not that much. Okay, general items for the kits: food, water, shelter, clothing, medical stuff, important documents, some kind of emergency radio, cash or credit cards, gear like flashlights, and some way to store it. So cardboard boxes in the garage are not really good because they'll get kind of destroyed. If they get damp, they don't last so long. Good plastic, heavy duty boxes are better. A good pack. No, you don't have to run out. Just buy something today. Just look around your house and see what do I already have that I can put to use. Okay, make your kit for what you think you need it to be. Okay, what do you need to keep you safe and keep you comfortable? Okay, we talk about in the wintertime, one of the floods I went through, the National Guard, most of the people we were picking up and taking to shelters and stuff had no jackets or blankets. They didn't grab anything like that before they ran out. Well, in the flood season, it's usually wet and cold, so keep stuff handy to keep yourself warm. You can die a lot quicker from hypothermia than starvation. So if you put 50 pounds of food in your emergency kit, no way to keep warm, it's not a good way of doing it. So think about keeping warm, shelter if it's hot out, for sunshade, and water year round. Okay, a good plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. I kind of reworded that, but don't try to make it perfect. Do something. Go out and do one thing. If you've already got a kit, by the end of the day, do something to make it better. Okay, don't wait for perfection. Okay, make your go bag fit you. Load it in the order that you need the stuff. Use what you have. Packs, duffel bags, plastic buckets, roller. You know, somebody asked one time, hey, can I use my suitcase I take for a carry-on for the plane? Sure, that'll work. If that fits you, you already have it. You don't have to go out. This funny green pack, I got that for free. So I use that. That's my go bag. The one next to it, I usually keep with clothes and stuff. So if I'm going to travel somewhere at short notice, I can just grab that and go. But use what you already have. If you don't have something, and go out and look and see what do you need, what would work for you. Okay. What works for you is going to be different than what might work for Nancy or me. But think about how it's going to work for you, and you know how much money you're going to invest in it, and how much time and motivation. Okay. Set your go bag near the exit in your house. So if you're going to go out the front door and you've got a closet right there, that's probably a really good place to put it. So you don't have to go digging back somewhere in the bedroom or the garage or something. You got it right there. You're going to head out the front door, open that closet up, grab the go bag, and go out the door. Think this through, practice it, and try it out and see if it's going to work. Can you do this in the pitch black with a flashlight? Okay, home kit supplies. This happens to be in a shed of somebody I know, and they've got enough food there for probably a couple of weeks. Watch the sell-by dates. It's a good thing if you have stuff in a box or something, is to put in big letters on the outside the sell-by date or use-by date, whatever you want to call it. So you don't have to sit there and look with a magnifying glass and see how old is, oh, this thing expired last year, I better get something to replace it. So you have big letters with a marker on the outside. If you already have a go bag, you could set up a couple of these boxes and have them as your grab boxes to go with you if you got time. Don't forget your high heels. You could use a closet, garage, shed, under the bed. Just think about what's going to work for you. What do you have available? I recommend, we used to have garbage cans with stuff stored outside, and I found out personally that a lot of that stuff deteriorates really fast if you keep it outside. So your car kit, a lot of SUVs and large trucks and stuff have all kinds of little nooks and crannies to store things in. And you could use that. This happens to be my wife's car with some stuff stashed in it. Keep it basic, keep food, water, blankets, and then change it for the season. Okay, don't forget your pets, children, and those with special needs. Everything you do, keep those in mind. Pets are going to be covered next by Julie, and hopefully we'll have some good questions here. A lot of you people have already put together a kit, and I appreciate that. It's going to make our job at the next disaster a little bit easier by having more people prepared and spread the word. Okay, so need to get a hold of me with any specific questions. There's my email. I check that several times a day. We have future training coming up. Just keep posted. And the library's a great partner to work with because they have a lot of places to teach. They have some great people working there. And it's not just, my library card expired. I just got to go get it renewed pretty soon. Okay, so don't think in a disaster that you're going to be able to step up and do great things unless you've done some training first. Okay, floods, fires, earthquakes, riots, wars. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dan. I really appreciate that. And I'm sure everybody learned a lot from that. One thing I'd like to point out right now before I bring Julie on to talk about pets, we have this really cool new product called an evac pack. And we have these available at all of our Sonoma County Library branches. And one of the things you're going to get in there is a personal plan. And this personal plan is the tool that we're going to use in the next class to talk about how to make a personal emergency plan. But also in here, it does have a comprehensive list on what to put in your go bag. It has a comprehensive list of what to put in your shelter in place kit. So if you're looking for something in print that you'd like to have so you can check it off as you get things done, stop by any of your local libraries and pick up an evac pack. There's no charge for these and they're available to the entire community. We have them in English as well as in Spanish. So whatever your language preference is. So these are super handy. They also come with a little checklist that will help you organize your thoughts about what's important to you in an evacuation to grab quickly. So it has an opportunity for you to think about, if I have to leave right now, well, it's probably just my go bag. But if I have 30 minutes, what's really important that I can grab? And if I have more than an hour, now I can grab a few more things. What are those things that are important? Because we've all learned over the last numbers of years that if we have to think in a hurry, we're less likely to do the things that we would do if we could be more purposeful, which is what that planning tool is all about. It's just to help you be more purposeful about what you do so that when a disaster happens, your outcome is the best possible that you can make it in terms of your preparation. So we will save all of our questions for at the end. And right now I would like to introduce Julie Atwood with the Halter Project. And Julie is going to talk to you about your pets and your animals and how to be more prepared to make sure that you can keep these famous people in your family safe. Oh, look, Chris has an evac pack. Cool.
Hi, Nancy and Monica and everybody at Sonoma County Department of Emergency Management and the Sonoma County Library. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So welcome everybody. I'm Julie with the Halter Project, and we are here to help people and animals stay safer before, during, and after a disaster and keep families together. And as Nancy just said, we also have animal emergency preparedness kits, packets that will be available to you at all of the library branches starting next weekend. So everything that Nancy mentioned in the evacuation packs, you can also find in our animal emergency and evacuation packs. You can also find those on our website, halterproject.org. And you can write to us at rescue@halterfund.org. So more information about resources at the end of my presentation. I have a lot to talk about because we have lots and lots of different animal species to talk about. So I'll try not to go too quickly, but you can always circle back and watch this presentation later. The library will post a link. You can also see this and other preparedness videos at our website. So let's get ready. Shiloh, take it away. Next slide. Oh, okay. So in these very few minutes, we are going to talk about our pets first, and then we're going to talk about our horses, our donkeys, chickens, goats, sheep, pigs, all of the farm animals that we have in our backyards and our neighboring farms. So let's go. Next slide. First, you need to make a plan, make an evacuation plan, and make a plan for sheltering in place at home. We're going to talk about the evacuation plan. Know where you'll go, know how you're going to get there, know who can take your animals if you cannot. Have your emergency numbers where you can get to them quickly and have them in more than one location, not just your phone. Have a notebook, have an old-fashioned address book. Have go bags and stay boxes for all your animals. A lot of the things that you have for yourself will work for your animals. And as Dan said, you need them in more than one place, your home, your car, maybe your barn, and have more than one kit and have more than one plan for everything. Next slide. Make go bags and stay boxes with the supplies for all your animals. And there's just so much to talk about because we have so many different animals to talk about. We're not going to show you lists here, but we have complete checklists for everything from parakeets, dogs, cats, donkeys, fish, all the animals that are part of your family. You can find checklists on our website and in the evacuation and Go Kit preparedness packs that you can find and pick up at the library. Next slide. Get the kids involved. This is such a great family activity because kids don't need to be fearful about going away. Get them involved. Let them help not only with their own packs, but their pet packs. Things that you need for the kids like toys and enrichment, things to keep them occupied. You also need for your pets. Also the grooming supplies and their food. So let the kids get involved. You can find these cute coloring pages in both Spanish and English on our website to help kids think about themselves and the rest of their family members. Next. Have enough of the essentials. Again, like Dan said, think about the things that you absolutely can't live without to keep your animals healthy and safe. So medications, enough food and water. Try to have at least enough for 10 days with the large animals. That could be difficult if you're evacuating, but just think about it. And we have lots of lists for all the essential items. And here's just a really quick little chart from our friends at CAL FIRE. You can also get great info at CAL FIRE, at the National Weather Service. Everybody is getting involved with animal preparedness. Next slide. Prepare your animals for evacuation. So that means have ID on everybody, something that you can see. So that could be a tag, it could be something on their collar. You might spray paint or use a livestock crayon marker on your bigger animals. Just make sure that they all have ID on them that is visible. With your pets, as well as your horses and your donkeys, get them microchipped. There are low-cost microchip clinics all over the place. You can get information about where you can get low-cost microchipping at Sonoma County Animal Services, North Bay Animal Services, lots and lots of our local humane organizations and shelters. If you need help finding a place to get your animals microchipped, write to us. We'll find a location near you. Take photos of your animals and take photos of your animals with you. This is important so that you can prove that that black cat is really yours or that cute goat is really yours. When you take photos, take pictures of them from all sides, front, back, get their belly if they have an interesting marking. Just make sure that you can document all of the unique features of your animals so that you can prove that they belong with you if you guys get separated. Next slide. Practice, practice, practice. Practice evacuating. Now, I just want to share something with you that in 2017, the Nuns fire broke out just a few hundred yards from my back door. Nobody knew there was a fire. Our warning systems are so much better now, but we had no warning and we had a lot of animals on our ranch because we had a plan and because we had practiced. both with each other and with our animals, we were able to evacuate all our horses, my mule, dogs, cats, and of course, all the people in 7 minutes. We got them from the heels of the fire to safety. So I've walked the walk, and that's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about sharing this information with you. Make practice fun. Go out for fun walks with your dog on a leash, on a harness. I've trained some of my cats to walk on a harness. They think it's really cool and they get totally mellowed out. Practice loading your dogs and your cats and your goats and your chickens and your horses into the carrier, the car, the horse trailer. Don't do it when you're stressed out and they're going to be stressed out. Do it when you have lots of time and it's relaxing and it's fun for everybody. Next slide. Here's some pet evacuation tips. It's really scary to think about, but again, if you think beforehand, you have a plan and you practice, things are going to go much, much better for everybody. You know what? It's going to make you feel a lot calmer. So when you have to evacuate, first put your pets into a secure room or a crate while you get ready to go so that they don't see all of the rushing around. If you don't have a room, put them in their crate, maybe put them down in the basement where the laundry is. Whatever you do, just make sure that they can't run out the door as you are going back and forth and loading your car. Try to put a blanket over their crate or carrier. That will help them to stay calm. You know, your cats, your dogs, they like to run under the bed. It's not because they like the bed, it's because it's dark and cozy and they feel safe there. If you have a pet pod or a bed with a little zipper igloo type contraption, those can be really good too. Keep your pets calm, cool, and comfortable. So when you're evacuating in hot weather, for instance, during a fire, if you can, grab a couple of bottles of frozen water from the freezer, wrap them in a dish towel, stick them in the carrier, or grab some ice packs or little ice blankets that you might keep in your freezer. But think about keeping them cool. They can overheat really quickly. Also, just good if you're traveling, going on vacation and the weather's hot. Next slide. Keep your pets safe in the car and at your destination. Oh my goodness, we have heard so many sad stories about people who did everything right. They evacuated with their pets. Everybody got out quickly, safely, calmly. And then they rolled up at the quick stop to buy some treats or some water. And as soon as they opened the door, boom, Fluffy jumped out. Or they got to their evacuation place, they got to their friend's house or their pet-friendly motel, everybody settled, and then oops, somebody opened the door and let the cat out or let the dog out. So now you have animals that are loose in a completely strange environment, a neighborhood they don't know, they're really scared, and now you have a second emergency. So let's try really, really hard not to let that happen. So just think ahead, where will you put your animals? Where will you put your pets to keep them secure? Do you have a harness that you can hook up in the car? Do you have tags, or can you quickly make a sign to tape up on the door, reminding other people in the house or in the room that there's a dog in the bathroom or there's a cat in the bedroom? So whatever it takes to keep your pets safe and to keep them from escaping, please do that. Next slide. Okay, on to the bigger animals, the horses and donkeys and chickens and all those other farm animals that our county is so filled with. So again, all of the same things that we talked about for people with special needs and for your pets are pretty true for your big animals, but they're even more important. Practice loading your animals in a trailer and in crates long before it's an emergency situation. Make plans. Make plans with people who can help you load and transport your animals, especially if you're alone, you don't have a truck and trailer, or your trailer isn't big enough to take all your animals at one time. So making a personal preparedness network for yourself is so important. Don't rely on emergency services to do it for you because they're not going to be activated until a disaster has been declared. And you want to be leaving with your animals before you're under an evacuation order. Last, make sure you have extra halters and lead ropes and maybe some leashes also for everyone, not just one for everyone, but have a couple extra, maybe throw them in the trunk of your car, throw them in the trailer, have them where they're handy. Next slide. You need a go plan and a stay plan. And your go plan might mean that you're going, but your animals are staying. And your stay plan means that maybe everybody is staying at home for whatever reason. Could be an earthquake and we can't get out. It could be a flood and your road is blocked. There could be something else going on, and emergency services has told us all to shelter in place. So whatever it is, make sure you have a plan for everything. I like to say, have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. And if you have time, have a plan D and a plan E as well. I learned that having multiple plans really makes a difference. In the fires of 2017, we blew through our plan A and plan B. They weren't going to work. We immediately went to our plan C, and that was an earthquake plan. And that's what saved us. But I had a plan to fall back on. And so I'm here to tell you it's really important. And you know what? Might make you a little anxious while you're planning, but it's going to help you be a lot calmer when you really need it. Next slide. When you can't evacuate, okay, we just talked about that a little bit. If you cannot evacuate your animals, there are important things you can do, and there are ways to get help. So plan ahead to make a safe place, a place that's going to be as safe as possible for your animals. Usually we're talking about your large animals, your horses, your donkeys, and backyard livestock. That means that you're going to leave them in a place that is away from things that can burn with secure fencing. Also in a storm, things that can't blow around and hurt them if they're flying in the wind. Give your animals room to get as far away from hazards like fire or trees as possible. In our fire-prone areas, our wildland urban interface, that means away from the forest and brush, but it could also mean away from buildings, power poles, and other types of hazards. Even lawn chairs can become hazards that can be picked up by the wind and fly across the pasture. Check your local emergency services websites. Also, FireSafe, CAL FIRE, FireWise Communities. There are lots of great graphics and information and checklists to help you walk around your property and make sure that you have clear, defensible space. Because if it's going to save your home, it's going to save your animals. So that's really important to keep in mind, that those defensible space zones are really important for keeping your animals safe. Try to keep a minimum if you have a large enough property. A lot of people live in the country around here. To keep a minimum of 100 to 300 feet, if you can, away from the animal places and the things that can burn, like the wildland beyond your fence. So whatever the size of your home, look around, make it safe, not just for you and not just easy for firefighters to defend, but safe for your animals. Everything you do for your home is going to make it safer for your animals. Next slide. Here's a little, kind of a little cartoon that you can take a quick look at. This gives you an idea of what we're talking about, okay? Keep things clear. Take away the stuff that can burn. Keep them away from your animals. Now, fortunately, in most locations, people tend to keep the hay and the bedding, like the shavings, really close to where their animals are. Why? Because it's convenient, it's faster, but think about it. Those are the things that are going to burn very hot and very quickly. So at the very least, if we're in a fire weather watch or red flag, make sure that you've pulled all that stuff as far away as possible from where the animals are. Next slide. Animal safety checklist. This is just a real shorty, but as I said earlier, you can get complete checklists for all the animals at our website, halterproject.org, as well as a number of other resources, which we'll share with you at the end. Leave lots of water. Water is really important. Make sure that area is wet if you have time to wet it down. Very important. Close the gates, but don't lock them. And leave a key for responders if you possibly can, so that they can get in and care for your animals. Next slide. A little bit more animal safety tips. Shut the barn and the shed doors so the animals can't run inside. We know it's dangerous, but they don't. To them, that's their safe place. That's where they sleep. That's where they eat. So turn them out and then shut the doors behind them. And please never, ever leave pets or other animals tied up when you go away. Next slide. When to prepare and when to go. Okay, this falls into the category of alerts, know your alerts, and I know these will be covered in another library workshop, but just in case you can't make it, make sure you're signed up for alerts, make sure that you understand what they mean, understand your weather warnings and your weather watches. They mean that things could change quickly and you should be, on pretty high alert. You should be at least in the yellow zone mentally. And that means that you're always aware. You're not hyperventilating and you're not panicked, but you're aware. Once we go into a red flag, that means that you should do everything you need to do to be ready to evacuate with your animals. If you are issued an evacuation warning, that means you should hit the road now. And if you're under an evacuation order, that means that you and your animals could be in immediate danger. Go if you can. If you can't get your animals out, then you need to leave with all the people in your home. And as soon as you're in a safe place, you're going to call and request help for your animals, okay? Don't risk your life because your cat's under the bed or you can't catch your donkey and load them in the trailer. Just make sure that they have safe places, get yourself out, get yourself to the temporary evacuation point or wherever you're going. Once you're safe, make that phone call and we're going to give you that information as well. Next slide. When to prepare, once again, when emergency services tell you that conditions are right for something to happen, whether it's a fire, a flood, a windstorm, we're probably not going to know if an earthquake is going to happen, but if you're ready, you're going to be more ready for everything. Know when to prepare, which basically is all the time, and know when to go. Next slide. How to get help for the animals. People are always surprised when I tell them you can get help for your animals. So here are really important things to know. Here in Sonoma County, we have loads of great resources and ways to get help for animals. So during an evacuation, you can request help by calling the animal helpline numbers, and you'll see some of those at the end of this presentation. Special animal responders who are trained and have background checks and are working under the authority of the Sonoma County Sheriff, the law enforcement, and the Department of Emergency Management will be activated. And I am one of those people. So once we are told that we need to stand up and be ready, then we're given orders, we're given information about where to go. We follow those orders, we find our way to your animals to help them. Most of the time, we're just looking around to make sure everything is safe, the animals are okay, they've got plenty of food and water, which we take with us. If something looks unsafe, then we will evacuate your animals, or we'll do what we can to keep them safe where they are. And we will stay in touch with you and let you know how your animals are doing for as long as your property is under an evacuation order. Next slide. More about how to get help for your, there we go. More about, we're going the wrong direction here. More about how to get help for your animals. We've got some hotline numbers. I think that slide just disappeared. But what's important to know when you're making that call is stay calm. Be ready to give really precise information to the helpline operators. Write down all of your details long before in that notebook that we talked about, so that when you make a phone call, you have all that information. You can explain to them very precisely what your driveway looks like or how to find your gate down that long country road. Give as many details with as much accuracy as you can. Next slide. How to get help. These are numbers that you can call. Sonoma County Animal Services, the Sonoma CART, Napa Cart, NorCal Livestock Evac, Marine Humane, and you can call 211 to request help from someone who will speak in your language. So if you make a call and you get somebody who doesn't understand you, or you can't understand them, call 211 or ask for a translator. We are so fortunate in our county to have wonderful helpers to help you, your family, and your animals stay safe and stay together. Next slide. Get all this information in Spanish and in English at halterproject.org, and other resources that are available to provide help to everybody in our county and the North Bay include Sonoma County Animal Services, North Bay Animal Services, the Sonoma Cart, the Napa Cart, and Marine Humane. You can find all that information on our website and in the pet and animal preparedness and evacuation packs, which we'll have waiting for you at the library starting next weekend. You can also watch this presentation and other preparedness videos on our website, and you can write to us with your questions at rescue@halterfund.org. Thanks so much for being with us. Stay safe.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Julie. Such great information about how to take care of all different kinds of animals, whether they're our pets or our livestock. So really appreciate all of that you gave to us today. So we're going to answer some questions now. And one of the first questions I saw in the chat was that when Dan was doing the presentation, you had a hard time seeing some of his stuff. So Dan, come on around and show everybody some of those things in a wider view now. Let's see, can I make it? Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Give me a thumbs up if this looks better.
Okay.
Okay. So somebody asked about the brand of the flashlight. It really doesn't matter what brand. There's several rechargeable ones out there. This one, like I said, is really handy because it has a USB plug in it. So who doesn't have a USB plug floating around? So that makes it really handy. There's several other brands. We don't really recommend one brand over another, but this happens to be a real handy one. It can clip into your pocket. It's got a magnet on the back, so it's really useful. I have probably 20 flashlights in my collection. My wife thinks there's something wrong with them. The gas valve thing, I knew a couple of people where I used to work that ran out and bought these wrenches and stuff. And they said, Dan, when you have a chance, stop by our apartment and show us where to shut this off. Well, it was all electric, so they didn't need this. So if you have all electric, don't listen unless the next few minutes. Gas valve is on like that. Now, so when you're looking at your meter, this is normally like this, not 100% of the time. Sometimes to get the meter to fit somewhere, it might be like this, but it's still straight line is on. And then when I look at this in a hurry, I'm going to try turning it one way. It doesn't go. Oh, it goes that way. Now it's off. All the gas to my house is off. Leave it off until PG&E comes out and turns it back on. And remember, like I said, is you're only going to turn it off if you smell gas or hear gas or there's big enough earthquake that you probably have a gas leak, or if their appliances are underwater, turn it off. Okay. On, off. Once it's off, walk away, leave it alone. You don't have gas. The Mylar.
Hold on,
blankets.
Dan. Quick
What's that?
question.
Sure.
Quick question from the chat. What do you call that tool? What is it called for when people are asking for it in the store?
It's a gas valve turnoff wrench. Now this happens to be specifically made for that. It's got two different size things on it, one for shutting off water, one for the gas. This is really handy. They're usually a couple of bucks. Well, I say that,
Yeah.
Who knows? They're probably $7 or $8 now.
Any hardware store, Home Depot, they all have them, and you can just ask for it at the desk and they'll tell you where to go get it.
They got that. And then you got a big monkey wrench, a giant crescent wrench will do the same thing. The
you.
Mylar blankets. I'm sorry, go ahead. Did you have
You're
something
just saying
else?
thank you.
Okay. Mylar blankets, a couple of bucks. Like I said that now, they're probably $6 or $7 or $8. These will keep you warm. You can use them for shelter. If it's really hot out, like in the desert, you can set them up next to your vehicle and make a little tarp out of it. Let's see, throw a little toilet paper in there. That's always handy. The medication. Now, some people need medication every day and they're going to die. So you could put it in something like this. What I've done, but I didn't want to bring it in because I have it set in my actual go bag at home, is I've taken the prescription bottles left over and I put the actual prescription bottles, a couple extra 7-day supply in my go bag. On the outside, I write the expiration date. So I go out there like every 6 months, rotate them through, put some fresh ones in. And the pharmacy I use nationwide, so I can go in anywhere and say, hey, we're burned out, Sonoma County. I had to leave my house, couldn't get my prescriptions. Can you refill my prescription? Sure, we can do that. Okay, I think that was pretty much the questions. Radio. It was funny. I handed one of these to my grandson the other day, and he actually could figure out how to tune in a radio station. So if you got one of these little old, I think the first thing I ever saved up money to buy when I was a kid was a little AM radio. They still work. They'll pick up stuff. If you have the NOAA channel on it, better. AM, FM, okay. Find the news talk station where you're at. That'll put the news out every, the one that tells you the traffic every 10 minutes. Real handy to have in an emergency because they'll put stuff out. The NOAA radios are good because they normally are good for tornadoes, hurricanes, and things like that. But now they're adding other emergency stuff, fire evacuation too. Anything else, Nancy?
No, thank you so much,
Okay.
Dan.
Thank you all.
I think after the last couple of years of fires, we've done a couple of surveys. And in each and every one of those surveys, we've had resident after resident tell us how thankful they were that they had a transistor radio because their power was out. Their cell phone didn't work anymore. They would have to go to a center to charge their cell phone so they could use it. But they had this battery powered radio so they could turn it on to KSRO and find out what was happening right now without having to leave their home or go get in the car and turn the car on to get that. So they're pretty inexpensive and they're an invaluable tool. When everything else doesn't work, the radio still works. So it's very analog and it's really, really a handy tool because staying aware in an emergency is key to everything. Monica, do we have any other questions?
Yes, we do. Someone asked, is the county giving out those NOAA radios for free right now? Or they heard.
Actually, the city of Santa Rosa is doing a NOAA weather radio giveaway right now. And if you check with the city of Santa Rosa's website, you can find out where they're giving those away. So they are giving them away right now. I think they have a few thousand to give away. So super, super awesome tool to have, which we'll talk about a little bit more in our third session. So before I turn it back to you, Monica, I just want to one more time remind everybody, we have 2 more sessions. The next session, we're going to go through this preparedness planning guide step by step. Dan's going to walk you through how to write this. So really, by the end of the time he's talking, you'll have a really good handle on what that's going to look like to have an emergency preparedness plan for yourself. The other really important thing we're going to be doing is in our third session, we're going to be talking about alert and warning. So helping you understand which alerts you need to have, how to get that done. That's going to be a really important feature in this 3-week presentation. And also in that third session, we're going to be talking about different community groups that are sprouting up all over the county that are giving everybody an opportunity to work together as a neighborhood to be prepared and share resources and support each other through some of these more difficult times. So that's going to be a really, really fun session too. So I will turn it back to you. And again, everybody, thanks for coming and thanks for staying. We really appreciate your time and hope that this inspires you to do something today.
Perfect. Thank you, Nancy. And I just dropped into the chat the link that has the Sonoma Library's emergency preparedness page. So if you haven't already signed up for those other 2 workshops we have, you can go to that link and find more links to register for the next 2 events on, I believe, June 26th and July 10th. Thank you very much, Nancy, Julie, and Dan, for the excellent program. Everyone is thanking you in the chat as well. And thanks to all of you for joining us today. Don't forget to sign up for more summer reading programs. You can find the list of events at events.sonomalibrary.org/events. And that is all we have for you today. Thank you guys so much for joining and have a good rest of your weekend.